I walked through the door with a bouquet of roses, excited to surprise my fiancée Lisa after a long day at work. But as I entered our apartment, I found her frantically packing her clothes into a suitcase, a strange smile on her face. When I asked what was happening, she turned to me with cold eyes and said, "My ex Mark proposed to me this morning." I said, "Yes, I am leaving you." Her words sliced through me like a knife, but I refused to beg. "Get out," I said firmly, "and never contact me again." Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had someone try to crawl back after they betrayed you. My name is Jerry, a 32-year-old software engineer from Boston. I met Lisa at my college friend Ryan's wedding 3 years ago. She caught my eye immediately with her confident smile and the graceful way she carried herself across the dance floor. We got talking at the reception when we both reached for the last spring roll at the buffet. I let her have it, and she offered me half with a laugh that lit up her entire face. Something clicked between us that night, a connection I had never felt with anyone before. Lisa was a 28-year-old marketing executive at a prestigious firm downtown. She was ambitious, charming, and could light up any room she walked into. After exchanging numbers at the wedding, we went on our first date the following week at a small Italian restaurant near the harbor. I still remember how beautiful she looked in her blue dress, how her eyes sparkled when she talked about her dreams, and how perfectly our conversation flowed. Our first year together was magical. We took weekend trips to Cape Cod, went hiking in New Hampshire, and even flew to California for a week-long vacation. I introduced her to my parents, who adored her immediately. She brought me home to meet her family in Connecticut, and I spent hours talking sports with her dad while helping her mom prepare dinner. Everything felt so natural, so right. As time passed, my love for Lisa only grew stronger. She seemed equally devoted to our relationship. We would stay up late discussing our future, dreaming about the house we would buy, the places we would travel, even the names we liked for our future children. I had never felt so secure and happy with anyone. After 2 years together, I decided to propose. I spent weeks planning the perfect moment, saving up for a beautiful diamond ring that I knew she would love. I made reservations at Le Petit Bistrot, her favorite French restaurant where we had celebrated our first anniversary. I arranged for the violinist to play her favorite song as I got down on one knee. When I pulled out the ring, her eyes filled with tears, and she said yes without hesitation. That night felt like the beginning of our forever. We immediately dove into wedding planning. Lisa created detailed spreadsheets for venues, caterers, and guest lists. She spent weekends visiting potential locations, always sending me excited messages about what she had found. I was thrilled to see her so enthusiastic about our future together. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. The way she would sometimes mention her ex-boyfriend Mark in conversation, bringing up trips they had taken or jokes they had shared, how she kept a photo album from her college days that featured numerous pictures of them together. At the time, I thought nothing of it. I was secure in our relationship and never felt threatened by her past. But about a month before that fateful day, things began to change. Lisa became more distant, often checking her phone with a small smile that disappeared when I entered the room. She started working late, canceling our dinner plans, and seemed distracted when we were together. I convinced myself it was just stress from wedding planning or pressure at work. I decided to surprise her with flowers that day, hoping to brighten her mood and remind her how much I cared. That decision changed everything. When I stood in our bedroom doorway watching Lisa pack, I felt like I was in a bizarre nightmare. The bouquet of roses hung limply at my side as I tried to process what she was saying. "What do you mean you said yes to Mark?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lisa barely looked up from her packing. "Mark and I have been talking for the past few months. He realized he made a mistake letting me go. He wants me back, and he proposed this morning. I have always loved him, Jerry. What we had was nice, but Mark is my soulmate." The casual way she discarded our 2-year relationship sent a wave of nausea through my body. So the past 2 years meant nothing. Our engagement was just what a placeholder until something better came along. She finally stopped packing and looked at me with an expression I had never seen before, a mixture of pity and impatience. "Do not be dramatic. You were good to me, but Mark and I have history. He knows me in ways you never could. He is more successful, more ambitious, the kind of man I need for my future. Each word was like a slap across my face. I learned in that moment that Lisa had been in contact with Mark for months, secretly rebuilding their relationship while still wearing my ring. While I had been saving for our wedding, she had been planning her exit. You need to leave. Now. My voice was surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. Take your things and get out of my apartment. She looked shocked at my reaction. Perhaps she expected me to beg to try to convince her to stay. Jerry, we can be adults about this. I thought we could talk through the logistics. I will need a few days to get everything. No, I replied, stepping to the side of the doorway. You do not get to dictate terms after what you just did. I want you gone within the hour. Whatever you cannot take now, you can arrange to pick up later, but you will not be staying here another night. Her face hardened. Fine. This is exactly why Mark is better for me. He would never be this petty. I watched in silent fury as she finished packing her essential items. When she tried to take a painting we had bought together on our trip to Providence, I stopped her. That stays. You only take what is undisputedly yours. After she left, I locked the door and collapsed on the couch, the full weight of what had just happened crashing down on me. The woman I thought I would spend my life with had been plotting her departure for months, lying to my face every day. The engagement ring I had spent months saving for was probably already off her finger, replaced by whatever Mark had given her. That first night alone was the hardest. I could not sleep, could not eat, could barely think straight. I called my best friend Sam at 2 a.m, my voice breaking as I explained what had happened. He came over immediately, bringing whiskey and a sympathetic ear. We sat up until dawn, Sam listening, as I cycled through shock, grief, and rage. The days that followed were a blur of painful tasks. I had to call the wedding venue to cancel our reservation, losing the deposit in the process. I had to tell my parents that the wedding was off, hearing the disappointment and concern in their voices. I returned the wedding bands I had purchased just the week before the jeweler, giving me a pitying look as he processed the refund. The hardest part was facing my coworkers. Word spread quickly, and I could feel their awkward sympathy as I tried to maintain professionalism despite feeling like my world had collapsed. My boss, Jeff, pulled me aside and told me to take some time off if I needed it, but I refused. Work was the only thing keeping me from dwelling on the betrayal every waking minute. That first week, I kept finding Lisa's things around the apartment. A pair of earrings on the bathroom counter, her favorite coffee mug in the cupboard, the novel she had been reading still on the nightstand. Each discovery was like ripping open the wound again. I gathered everything into a box that I shoved into the back of the closet, unable to look at these remnants of our life together. 5 days after she left, I made the mistake of checking social media. There she was, smiling in a new profile picture with Mark, his arm around her shoulders. The caption read, "Sometimes the best path is the one that brings you back to where you belong." The post had dozens of likes and congratulatory comments, including from mutual friends who apparently had no idea what she had done to me. I deleted my social media apps after that. The anger was becoming overwhelming, and I needed to focus on getting through each day without it consuming me. I started going to the gym every morning before work, exhausting myself physically in the hopes of sleeping better at night. It helped, but only marginally. The sense of being used, of having been nothing more than a convenient option, until something better came along, gnawed at me constantly. The person I had trusted most had revealed herself to be someone I never really knew at all. 3 weeks after Lisa left, I was beginning to establish new routines for myself. I rearranged the furniture in the apartment, trying to make the space feel different, less haunted by memories. I started cooking again instead of surviving on takeout. I joined a weekend hiking group to get out of the apartment and meet new people. I also started seeing a therapist, Dr. Watkins, who helped me process the betrayal without letting it destroy my ability to trust. She helped me understand that what Lisa did reflected her character, not my worth. Those sessions became an anchor in the chaos of rebuilding my life. My friends stepped up in ways I never expected. Sam and his girlfriend Angela started inviting me over for dinner twice a week. My college roommate Tyrell, who lived across town, began showing up on Saturday mornings with coffee and bagels, insisting we catch up. My sister Jordan called daily, sometimes just to sit in companionable silence on the phone while we both worked. Their support formed a safety net that caught me when I was falling. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. "Hey, how are you doing? Hope all is well," as if she were a casual acquaintance checking in, not someone who had demolished our life together 3 weeks earlier. I stared at the message in disbelief before silencing the phone without responding. The text continued over the next few days, growing increasingly personal. "I miss our talks. Remember that Thai place near the park? I went there today and thought of you." Each message made my blood boil. I continued to ignore them. Then came a voicemail. "Jerry, I know you are probably still upset, but I really need to talk to you. Please call me back. It is important." I deleted it without a second thought. A week later, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole to see Lisa standing in the hallway, clutching her purse with a nervous expression. For a moment, I considered not answering, but a part of me wanted closure. I opened the door, but blocked the entrance. "What do you want, Lisa?" I asked coldly. Her eyes were red-rimmed and puffy. "Can I please come in? I need to talk to you." Against my better judgment, I stepped aside to let her enter. She sat on the edge of the couch, looking around at the changes I had made to the apartment. "You moved the bookshelf," she said quietly. "I moved a lot of things," I replied, remaining standing. "Why are you here?" She took a deep breath. "Mark lied to me. He had another girlfriend the entire time he was talking to me. He only proposed because they had a fight, and he wanted to make her jealous. When she found out about me, they had this huge confrontation, and he chose her." Her voice broke. "He told me I was just a diversion, someone to boost his ego while they worked through their issues." I felt no satisfaction at her pain, just a dull sense of irony. "So you threw away our relationship for someone who was using you as a pawn in his own relationship drama. That is quite a love story." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I made a terrible mistake, Jerry. I got caught up in the past and what Mark and I used to have. I convinced myself it was this great love story when really it was just manipulation. He knew exactly what to say to pull me back in." She reached for my hand. "I never stopped loving you. I was confused and stupid, but I know now what I really want." I pulled my hand away. "And what is that?" "You," she said, her eyes pleading. "Us. Our life together. I still have my engagement ring. We can call the venue, reschedule the wedding. I know my parents would still help with the costs. We can get back on track like this never happened." The audacity of her assumption that I would welcome her back left me momentarily speechless. She mistook my silence for consideration and pressed on. "I know I hurt you, but people make mistakes. What we had was real. Mark was just a momentary lapse in judgment. You and I are meant to be together." A strange calm settled over me as I realized what I needed to do. This was not about revenge. It was about standing up for myself and showing Lisa the consequences of her choices. I needed to respond strategically rather than emotionally. "I need some time to think about this," I said carefully. "What you did hurt me deeply, and trust once broken is not easily repaired." Hope flickered in her eyes. "I understand. I will do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I will prove to you that you are the only one I want. If we were to consider rebuilding, we would need to start slowly. No jumping back into wedding plans. We would need to rebuild from the foundation." She nodded eagerly. "Yes, of course. Whatever you think is best. We could start with dinner. Maybe this weekend," I nodded thoughtfully. "I could prepare something here at the apartment. Saturday at 7. Her smile was immediate and relieved. "Saturday at 7 is perfect. Thank you, Jerry. You will not regret giving me this chance." As she left, I already knew exactly what Saturday's dinner would entail, and it was not the reconciliation she was expecting. The 3 days before Saturday gave me time to prepare everything meticulously. First, I contacted Lisa's parents, with whom I had always had a good relationship. I told them I needed to speak with them about an important matter concerning their daughter. Confused, but concerned, they agreed to come to my apartment at 6:30 on Saturday evening. Next, I reached out to several of our mutual friends, including her close friend Danielle, who had been her intended maid of honor. I asked them to come for an important discussion regarding Lisa. Their curiosity guaranteed their attendance. I gathered evidence of Lisa's betrayal screenshots of her social media posts with marked printouts of text messages she had sent me. I created a small presentation that told the story chronologically from her growing distance to her abrupt announcement and subsequent return after Mark's rejection. I also visited the jeweler and retrieved the engagement ring. I had initially returned it, but decided to buy it back for what I had planned. The symbolic gesture would be worth the cost. On Saturday, I spent the morning cleaning the apartment and preparing a simple but elegant meal. I set the dining table for 8 people with Lisa's place at the far end facing the door. At the center of the table, I placed a small projector aimed at the blank wall. Lisa's parents arrived first, confused to see the table set for multiple guests. "Jerry, what is this about?" her father asked, concern evident in his voice. "I will explain everything once everyone arrives," I assured them. "Please make yourselves comfortable." The friends arrived shortly after, equally puzzled by the formal setup and Lisa's absence. I offered them drinks and asked them to take their seats. At precisely 7, the doorbell rang. I took a deep breath and went to greet Lisa. She stood in the hallway wearing a new dress, clutching a bottle of wine, her face full of nervous hope. "I brought your favorite Cabernet," she said with a tentative smile. "Thank you," I replied, taking the bottle. "Please come in." The moment she entered the dining area and saw her parents and friends seated at the table, her face drained of color. "What is this?" she whispered. "Please take your seat," I said, gesturing to the empty chair. I thought it was important that everyone hear this together. Too shocked to protest, Lisa sat down slowly, looking around at the confused faces of her loved ones. Once she was seated, I took my place at the head of the table. "Thank you all for coming tonight," I began calmly. "I have asked you here because I believe in transparency, and because I think you all deserve to know the truth about recent events." I pressed a button on my phone, and the projector displayed the first image, a photo of Lisa and me at our engagement party, both smiling widely. 3 weeks ago, Lisa ended our engagement because her ex-boyfriend Mark proposed to her. She packed her things and left the same day, explaining that Mark was her soulmate and that what we had was merely nice but insufficient. Gasps and looks of shock spread around the table. Lisa's mother covered her mouth with her hand. I continued through the presentation, showing Lisa's social media posts with marked screenshots of her texts to me after he rejected her, and finally a timeline of events that clearly illustrated the manipulation on both sides, Mark's of Lisa and Lisa's of me. Lisa came to me 4 days ago to tell me that Mark had another girlfriend the entire time and had only used her to make this other woman jealous. When confronted, he chose the other woman. Lisa then asked if we could resume our relationship and wedding plans as if nothing had happened. I turned to face her directly. She sat frozen in her chair, tears streaming down her face. "I invited you here tonight, Lisa, not to humiliate you, though I understand this is uncomfortable. I invited you here to demonstrate the difference between your approach to relationships and mine. You made life-altering decisions in secret without honesty or consideration for the person you claim to love. I choose to be transparent even when the truth is painful." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small box, placing it on the table in front of her. "Inside is your engagement ring. I bought it back from the jeweler specifically for tonight. I want you to have it as a reminder that some things once broken cannot simply be glued back together and expected to be as they were. Trust is one of those things." Lisa reached for the box with trembling hands and opened it. Inside was the ring, but it had been cut in half by the jeweler at my request. "I am not returning this out of cruelty, but as a symbol of what has happened. Our relationship is irreparably severed, not just because you left, but because of the disrespect and dishonesty with which you treated it." I turned to her parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Turner, I have always respected you both, and am sorry to involve you in this painful situation. I thought you should know the truth, and I hope you will help Lisa find somewhere to stay tonight, as she will not be staying here." Lisa's father nodded gravely, while her mother wiped away tears. Danielle stared at Lisa with a mixture of disappointment and sadness. "This dinner is concluded," I said, standing up. "There is food prepared if anyone is hungry, but I understand if you prefer to leave. Lisa, please gather any remaining possessions you may have here. Your parents can help you carry them." As the group began to disperse in shocked silence, Lisa finally spoke. "Jerry, please," she sobbed. "I understand now why you did this, but can we talk privately?" Just for a few minutes I shook my head. There is nothing left to say. You made your choice 3 weeks ago. The fact that it did not work out as you hoped does not change the fact that you were willing to discard our relationship for something you thought was better. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and your capacity for commitment. Her father gently took her arm. "Come on, sweetheart. We will talk about this at home." As they left, Sam, who had remained silent throughout the dinner, approached me. "That was intense, but necessary," he said quietly. "Are you okay?" I nodded, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. For the first time in weeks, I actually think I will be. 6 months have passed since that dinner. I moved to a new apartment across town somewhere without memories of Lisa in every corner. The first month was still difficult, but with each passing week, the pain dulled and clarity increased. The experience taught me invaluable lessons about self-worth and setting boundaries. I learned that loving someone does not mean accepting disrespect or betrayal. I learned that standing up for yourself is not about vengeance, but about preserving your dignity and sense of self. Through therapy and reflection, I gained a new perspective on relationships and trust. I realized that true love includes respect, honesty, and consideration, not just affection and attraction. I became more attuned to red flags I might have overlooked before. I recently started dating again cautiously, but without the burden of bitterness. I found that my experience with Lisa did not make me incapable of trust, just more discerning about who earns it. I approach new relationships with honesty about my past, but without letting it dictate my future. The most surprising outcome was my capacity for forgiveness, not for Lisa's benefit, but for my own. Carrying anger and resentment only continued to give her power over my emotions. Letting go of that anger was the final step in reclaiming my life. I occasionally hear updates about Lisa through mutual friends. She moved back to Connecticut to live with her parents for a while. She struggled to rebuild her reputation among our social circle after the truth became widely known. Recently, I heard she started a new job in Philadelphia, a fresh start away from the mess she created here. I genuinely hope she learned from this experience, that she grew to understand the importance of integrity in relationships. Not because I want her back, that door is permanently closed, but because growth from our mistakes makes the pain of them somewhat worthwhile. The greatest lesson I learned is that sometimes the best response to betrayal is not revenge, but reclaiming your power. By refusing to be a backup plan, by showing Lisa the consequences of her actions in a direct but controlled way, I took back control of my narrative. I refused to be defined by her rejection or validated by her return. What I want to leave you with is this: your worth is not determined by how others treat you, but by how you allow yourself to be treated. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it is essential. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do when someone tries to return to your life after betraying you is simply to close the door. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself when someone tried to come back after hurting you? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this video with someone who might need to be reminded of their worth. Thank you for listening, and remember that you deserve respect and honesty in all your relationships.